It's Monday night, time for Voice Over Body Shop. All those people are out there, and it's their turn to be the star because we're doing a fan roundtable tonight. And if you want to be on the show, we're going to tell you how in just a second. So have a topic, have a question, and let's have a good time.
That's right.
Voice Over Body Shop coming up now.
Two men, twin sons from different mothers, with a passion for voiceover recording technology and the desire to make recording easy for voice actors everywhere. Together, in one place, George Whittam, the home studio engineer to the stars, a Virginia Tech grad with an unmatched knowledge of all the latest gear and technology in voiceover today. Dan Leonard, the home studio master, a voice actor with over 30 years experience in broadcasting and recording, and a no-holds-barred, myth-busting attitude for teaching you how easy it is. Together, finally, to bring you all the latest technology, the superstars of voiceover today, and leading the discussion on how to make the most of your voiceover business. This is VoiceOver Body Shop.
VoiceOver Body Shop is brought to you by VoiceOverEssentials.com, home of Harlan Hogan's signature products. Ants Land Productions, where you can get a killer demo. Source Elements, who bring you Source Connect, Source Connect Live, and Source Connect Now. VoiceOver Extra, your one-stop site for voiceover resources. Visi Demos, your audio demo never looked so good. VO2GoGo.com, announcing Camera Ready You. VoiceOverView.com, your voiceover business made simple. And the VO Dojo. Take your voiceover career all the way.
And now, live from their super secret multimedia studio in Sherman Oaks, California, here are George Whittam and Dan Leonard.
Good evening, world. I'm Dan Leonard.
And I'm George Whittam.
And this is VoiceOver
Body Shop.
or VOBS. All right. Well, hopefully not a lot of BS tonight from our audience. You guys have been watching this show now for, well, this is our 90th episode of VoiceOver Body Shop. 90. We've been doing this show for 2 years now.
I know, we're just reminiscing. It feels like a year.
I know. Whoosh! Something about California, the time is...
Pace runs a little faster.
The pace runs a little faster, but sometimes it's like that Star Trek episode that, where everybody's moving slow and everybody else, the other people are just moving at normal speed.
Yeah.
It's the opposite for me.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
I'm the one that's going like this and everybody else is going especially on the 405, except at this time of day.
That's right.
Where there are people moving faster in walkers. Anyway. So tonight is our fan roundtable.
Yes.
And we want you to participate. You can be on camera with us. Come on, you're voice actors. Can't be shy. Got to learn how to do stuff out in public.
And extemporaneously.
Yeah, exactly. And so the way you can do that is in our chat room, tell Jack Daniel, our flawless chat room monitor, that you want to be on the show. And he is. He's totally flawless. And all you have to do, if you've got a question or a topic you'd like to talk about, because George and I can talk about anything except politics. We just don't talk about politics, and that's why we're still friends. So we'll get you a Zoom link, and you can come on camera on Zoom and ask your question or discuss your topic of whatever it is you want, and we'll get to you in just a couple of minutes. So if you want to do it now. But first...
And now, the VoiceOver Extra VOBS News, the latest and most comprehensive voiceover industry news. Brought to you live.
All righty, the VoiceOver Extra News, talking about the VoiceOver Agent Alliance. But first, our deep concern and well wishes go to the voice talent and friends that we have in the East Texas coast area and in Houston, who may be struggling with life and home issues now, and of course facing ruined home audio studios. What you're experiencing has got to be unimaginable. If your studio has been ruined or damaged, please don't hesitate to tell everybody out there. Many of us have spare equipment gathering dust, and they'll be happy to get you up and running as soon as you can. Feel free to tell John Florian over at voiceoverextra.com. Go right to info@voiceoverextra.com or here at the guys at VOBS.tv.
That's right. We'd love to help you. Another struggle we are reporting on tonight is the continuing boil over at the voices.com purchase of VoiceBank. If you've been following the VoiceOver Extra series on this, you know that voice talent fear VoiceBank will now hide or impose management fees in its online casting transactions through agents, similar to what Voices does in its online transactions with voice talent. A number of voiceover agents are concerned too. And last week, they announced forming the VO Agent Alliance.
Yes.
Not an allowance.
Now, they say the alliance was not created solely in response to the Voices VoiceBank deal, but admit that the deal was a trigger to speed up the plan. Eric Shepard, who operates the Voice Talent Productions Agency, is president of the alliance. The other founding agency members are In Both Ears, Go Voices Talent Agency, Play Talent, the Umberger Agency, DeSanti Talents Agency, Rockstar Entertainment, the Actors Group, and Tada Voiceovers. In a new article on VoiceOver Extra, Shepard says the voiceover industry is under siege by lower and lower rates for voice talent, and that the trend for voice seekers is to expect more or less of this in the future, and it's a challenge to our livelihood.
That's right. A number of VO pros are struggling because of this and leaving the business, he says. And he adds that the trend is pushing some into unethical practices.
How dare them?
Agents who hide fees or skim off the top are, of course, acting unethically, Shepard says. And he broadens the charge to those peddling low rates. He quote of him says, anyone, an agent or a manager or casting entity who is putting out lowball garbage jobs is hurting the industry for us all, he believes. Shepard says the alliance's to-do list is, quote, outrageously long, and the alliance's website says the group is actively expanding and ready to speak with other agents willing to stand up for our industry.
Yet, some applicants are already being rejected. Shepard says agents who we know who do not adhere to our standards are having their membership applications rejected as we speak. We're not interested in members who are with us in name only. You have to walk the walk, even if it hurts a bit, for now. For more about the VoiceOver Agent Alliance, see the article at voiceoverextra.com, your daily resource for voiceover success, where you'll also find many hundreds of additional voiceover how-to and news articles.
Excellent.
See what happens when it starts to go a little faster than you're ready to read?
It's exciting, isn't it?
It's like, oh, boy.
Well, I would love to say, I mean, that first part about the victims of the flooding.
Yeah.
This is a Katrina scale disaster.
Worse.
Or now worse, right? Because it covers a bigger
area, more people. 25 million people live in that area. It's unbelievable.
Messed up. I saw Jay DeLay's Facebook Live. If you don't happen to be a friend of Jay's on Facebook, he posted a 25-minute long Facebook Live of just him in his car and being driven and talking about his experiences, because they are literally were in the process of driving out of Houston trying to get to Dallas.
Yeah, I mean, I've got friends. Chris Metzelesta, if you're watching, one, you have internet, and two, stay dry. I have a nephew living there, and we have a cousin living there who's apparently on higher ground and near downtown.
Oh, thankfully.
But boy, what a mess. So again, if you've lost anything, if you've lost your studio or something like that, let us know, or let John Florian know over at VoiceOver Extra, because there are people out there who will be willing to help you out.
Yeah,
that's what we do.
I would love to create some kind of a little network of folks who need help that have lost their homes, that we can help them and do it in a very cost-effective manner. I think that'd be something we could do together. It'd be really great.
I think that would be cool.
So let us out. Reach out to us so we know that you're in need when the time comes. I know it's probably the last thing you're thinking about, probably right now. You're just trying to get out of there with life and limb, a few of your personal belongings. But when you're ready, time to rebuild in the next month or so, let us know, please.
Right. They're all carrying their TLM 103s just above the water.
Oh, man. I know. I know.
Anyway. Okay, so it's our fan roundtable tonight.
Yeah.
But first, do you have any tech issues you'd like to throw out there?
Tech issues? No, nope. Most important thing to me right now, at least from a topical standpoint, is dealing with those folks and how they're going to get themselves back
up and running again.
And the news has been saturated, no pun intended, with all the stuff about this, and for good reason. You know, at first I was actually a little annoyed that the news was so focused on the storm. I was like, it's a storm. We have storms. Then when I started seeing
it wasn't
the
just a
scale
storm.
of the disaster, I could see very quickly why it was all encompassing.
Yeah,
So,
I was watching it on radar, and I'm like, it's going to slow down. That's not good. Just
slow down
in
and
the
pick
same
up
area.
water and dump it.
Really?
It's like a bucket dumping it onto them.
50 inches of rain, and there's more coming tomorrow. All right.
That's all I can think about right now.
Yes. All right. Well, let's not soak you with all this information quite yet, but we do want to get our fan roundtable off the ground.
Let's do
So
it.
again, ask Jack if you want to be in there. If you got a good question or a topic you want to talk about and discuss, we'll be happy to have you on the show.
We also have a few questions that have been sent to us over the last few days we're going to discuss throughout.
Absolutely. All righty. So stay tuned. Our fan roundtable coming up on VoiceOver Body Shop.
What's a Visi visual voice demo, and why do you need one? A Visi takes your audio-only voice demo and wraps a video around it. The audio track is your voice demo. The video track tells your story and reinforces your brand. And why do you need a Visi? Well, what do people see when they're listening to your demo now? Your voice demo may sound terrific, but if your prospect gets distracted, they may not even remember hearing it. By engaging both their senses, sight and sound, your chances of getting noticed and remembered go way up. Besides, when your demo shows up as a video, you're instantly going to stand out from the crowd of voice talents whose demos are nothing but MP3 files that go in one ear and out the other. Your voice demo never looked so good as it will when it's a Visi demo. Book your Visi visual voice demo today at visidemos.com.
vo2gogo.com. Everything you need to be a successful voiceover artist. vo2gogos.com's voiceover curriculum is a 5-time winner of Backstage Magazine's Reader's Choice Award for Best Voiceover Classes and Best VO Teacher, David H. Lawrence the 17th. It's 36 classes online or in person across a year-long course featuring not just classes in the art of voiceover, but also in the commerce and science of running your voiceover business. And each month, a class day includes a workout class for its participants. Unlock the entire curriculum at once. Over 45 hours of training, videos, audio samples, and workouts where you work on mic. Get more details and sign up for the pro membership to save money at vo2gogo.com/VOBS. That's whatever it is. vo2gogo.com/VOBS. My goodness, gotta slow that teleprompter down just a little bit. And David loves to talk about voice, being ready for being on camera, but
It's all part of the game.
it is. All right.
We'll be right back after this.
Business and good old-fashioned acting.
I really like your bracelet. It's awesome.
Hey, Paul, where did you get that watch?
That's really cool.
And learn the latest in voiceover technology
Business.
and good old-fashioned acting. Hey, Paul, I really like your suit. Where did you get it? It looks good on you. This is VOBS.
Alrighty, we're back. We're going to get to our voiceover body shop roundtable with our fans in just a second. But we do have a question.
Yeah, we got a couple. We'll start with one here from Ruth Schmidt in Pasadena.
Hi, Ruth.
Right across
right down the
town.
street,
Just 2 hours away.
depending on the time of day.
Question is about how light, L-I-T-E, a studio can possibly be. I'm buying professional home studio equipment for the first time, and I'm thinking of seeing how minimalistic I can get. You're asking the right folks, because
Yeah.
we are big into...
Minimalism.
You may not know it from watching the show, but we are really into minimalistic studios for sure. There's a list of hardware here. A MacBook Air,
Good.
2 gigahertz, 8 gigs of RAM. Perfect. Can you get away with less power? Yes.
Yes.
Should you?
No.
You will regret it later. Buy something you can use for at least 3 to 5 years. So 2 gigahertz, 8 gigs of RAM. Good place to start. An NT1A mic. I would drop the A and
Just
get the
go with the
NT1.
Yeah.
So many people buy these mics. I guess they're just so well marketed to being perfect starter mics, and they are. But the NT1A has been upended by the NT1. It sounds really confusing. Why didn't they call it the NT1B or something more logical? But no, it's the NT1. It's black instead of silver. That's the one I would recommend.
There you go.
If you're going to look
make all the
for a
difference.
Rode, look for the black NT1 mic. I think it sounds a little bit better, smoother, less bright sounding.
Also a Shure X2U.
That is like a MicPort Pro kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's okay. If you really, really want something that's portable, yes, get one of those.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're so small and fiddly with little teeny dials. Not something you want to use every single day if that's your only choice. I would replace that with something comparably priced like the Scarlett Solo or the Steinberg UR12.
UR12, yes.
Yeah, it's really, for that thing's only $80.
And they sound great.
Really good.
I mean, the technology with these things has come along so well in the last 10 years, in the last 5 years. You're going to sound better than people sounded on the radio in 1975.
Yeah, yeah. Plus, the you may not need it that badly, but the UR12 and the Scarlett can record in 24-bit. It's not requested that much yet, but it might start to become a standard, and the Shure can't. It's only 16 bits. Software, Twisted Wave. Enough said. If you're on Mac,
I wish we had a nickel for every copy of Twisted Wave we've sold for Thomas.
Fantastic software. Minimalistic, simple, straightforward. It's minimalistic, but it has some really awesome power user features when you learn how to use them.
It's got everything you could possibly need for doing voiceover.
Yeah. I mean, it's the batch conversion thing is really awesome for doing e-learning.
Dividing files up
by markers.
By markers. That's a killer. I mean, that one, I just fly with that.
Stacks.
Stuff.
Lay a few processing things you need in there. Boom. Stacks.
Yeah.
Just freaking great. The only thing it's missing is things that most of us don't need anyway, like multitrack or spectral editing.
Right.
If you're really getting into the nitty-gritty of editing and having to remove lots of extraneous sounds and you want to be able to do a quick mix, then Adobe Audition would be the next step up from Twisted Wave, I would say.
Yeah.
Minimalistic, Twisted Wave.
Although I hear Isotope is on sale this week.
Ooh. Isotope RX is on sale?
No, the basic one.
RX.
For like $29 or something.
RX, they call it... has a word for it. The $29 RX, we're all normally $99, is good. The thing is, it's missing their new mouth declick module.
Well.
They have a declicker that's specifically for mouth noise.
Well, what do you want for $29?
Yeah, that you have to shell out, I think, $300 for that version.
Or eat Granny Smith apples.
Yeah. Is there any reason why I would need more for a Skype or Source Connect recording session? No. Put the rest of the money that you scrape together into getting a studio that sounds good.
Right.
Yeah. Acoustics.
I mean, she's mentioned everything there that she needs.
All the basic building blocks. With everything you have there, you can do Skype, you can do Source Connect now, Source Connect, IPDTL. You can do any of those online systems.
But as we say almost every week, it's not so much the equipment as it is the acoustical environment in which you record.
That's the biggie.
So that doesn't necessarily have to be expensive. If you've got a closet full of clothes, that'll save you $5,000 right there.
So true. Yeah.
All righty.
Yeah, that really can help a lot.
Okay, well, let's go to our fan base here.
We got a few folks hanging out in the fan roundtable room.
Outstanding.
Let's open up the mic and see what sort of chaos ensues. Hey, everybody in the Zoom room.
You can
Hello, boy.
Hello.
All right.
Hey, we got 3 of you right now. Looks like we got Larry. Say hi, Larry. Larry Hudson.
Hello, everybody.
Larry, where are you tuning in from?
Beautiful Los Angeles, California, just south of the airport.
Very nice.
All right.
Thanks for joining us tonight. We also have in there, we spoke to earlier, J.E. Burton. New to us. Hi, J.E.
Hello, everyone.
And where are you coming in from tonight?
I'm actually in Burbank, just hanging out with you guys.
In his car.
In your car. You might want to relocate. I think your bandwidth right now is
I'm getting up. And by the way, I said it was cool, and it's cool because it's good to see a fellow Hokie making good out in LA. So
hey, right on. Thank you very much. Thanks, J.E. Your video right now is frozen, so you can either disconnect and reconnect or whatever, but that's fine. It's fine.
Is that a Virginia Tech thing?
Hey, man, I didn't realize. What class at Virginia Tech were you in? We'll catch you on the flip side.
All
You
right.
sounds like you're relocating right
Yeah.
now.
All right.
And we had somebody else. They were in, and then they got camera shy, and they popped off.
No
So
reason to be camera shy. Come
on,
on, you're
folks.
professionals.
Come join us.
We're trying to be anyway. Well, we know one guy's a real professional here, and that's Larry.
Hey, Larry.
Larry Hudson, the professor,
sir.
as I like to refer to him as.
So I had some questions for you guys.
You
this
did.
week.
So
I did.
go for it.
All right, so we'll start with the first one that I gave you, which was here. I wrote them down so I didn't forget them. Which was right now, there's so many new mics coming on, and there's so many good ones. What are your 3 current top favorites under 350?
Under 350.
Under 350.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I know when we get into the high end, like just real quick, one of the ones that was always my favorite, sort of in that 350 to 450 range, was the CAD E100S.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And there's been some negative stuff about it. They've been having some problems. I read some stuff online. So anyway.
Yeah, those were written by the people from MXL.
Yeah. Okay. I'll take that.
No. There's a good deal of some negative press going on about that mic for a good reason. They had some quality control problems for.
That's what happens when you sell a lot of them. You start to cheapen the process a little bit.
I mean, they sold a lot of them, and they let the price kind of go out of control. In other words, down. They let the price go down, and so they start selling them too quickly, and they can't keep up with demand, and then they start cutting corners. I mean, I don't know if that's actually what happened, but just observing it from a distance, it definitely seems like what happened, because the popularity of that mic exploded in our community in voiceover, and that's just what happened.
Yeah, I mean, I like mine. I use mine when I'm doing webinars or talking to people on Zoom at my desk.
Yeah.
So I can demonstrate, proper mic technique and things like that. So mine works fine. Although I've, sometimes you'll be talking to somebody and they've got an E100S and they've got one of the filters on. They've either got the 20 dB pad on or the rumble filter on. The
any mic with switches on it, there's more things to go wrong.
Right.
I mean, I'm a fan of the low cut switch that takes out rumble.
Yep.
But it sometimes adds more noise. Sometimes the noise floor of the mic comes up when you turn it on. It's a weird thing.
But the E100S is supposedly very, very quiet.
It's supposed to be, yeah. If
It
yours
doesn't
is not, then
load
there's something wrong.
Yeah. Go ahead, Larry.
It's gotten as low price wise around $319, $320, which is pretty cheap.
That is really cheap. That's not a mic. That is a mic made in the United States. That is not a Chinese mic.
No.
That's just mind blowing how cheap that is.
They may still be using slave labor to do it, but if they're charging that much, this is another great choice.
Yeah,
the Harlan Hogan VO1A.
350 range. It's under 300 now.
Yeah,
around 300.
It's about $300, and it might be the only mic you ever need.
Yeah, it doesn't have any bells and whistles, no switches. It just has a shock mount, a nice Mogami cable, and it's got I think it's a really good sounding mic. On some people, it may be too bright.
Yeah.
Got to watch out for sibilants for those who have sibilant voices. It shares that a little bit with the NT1A. But what's another mic I like? AT in that price range. The Audio-Technica AT4040.
The 2035 is good too. I mean,
even at lower, at $150, the 2035 is pretty good.
Right. It's a good step up from the 2020, which is kind of noisy.
Yeah. The 4040 is like another class.
Yeah.
They go from the 20 series to the 40 series. So it's a different class of microphone. I don't know what that means, really. Does it last longer? I think the 20 series is made in China, the 40 series in Japan.
Right.
Don't quote me on that. But
find out.
I think it's something like that. But the 4040 is a great one at $300.
Yeah.
The AKG,
the Perception series, or
in his price range, the C2.
Oh, the 212, the 212.
C214.
214, which
might be a little bit outside that range. I think it's $399.
$399, right?
Yeah.
But their Perception series is really good.
Right. So they're doing the same idea where they take the basis of like what they sell as a German-made mic, the AKG stuff.
Right.
The C series is German-made or Austrian. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
AKG is Austrian.
No, don't mess that one up.
Oh,
the Austrians don't like that.
That's an Austrian,
not German.
Yeah. The Austrian-made mic's going to be a little more expensive. Then they came out with the Perception series, which is their entry level, and they're made in China.
Right.
And they're about half the price. So you can get the P220 for I don't know,
It's
$150
less. I think it's 100 now.
It's not expensive.
Right, but the 240 is really good. I've seen a couple of people working with that one, and that's comparable to the 100S from
The
what I was-
P240?
Yeah.
Cool. Nice.
Yeah.
There's a few. How's that work, Larry?
You gave me good answers. Thank you.
Well, that's good to hear.
Well, and a couple of them were on my list. and I
Okay,
just
go for it.
confirmed that, because people ask me and I don't want to give them bad info.
What are some that are on your list that
I know from George and Dan,
What are some on your list that we didn't mention by chance?
Actually, the AT4040 was something new that just came up over the last few weeks in my radar.
Yeah.
But up in the AKG C214 has been on the list for a while.
Yeah.
Harlan has kind of always been there.
Yeah.
Personally, and again, it's not because nothing against Harlan. I just have never worked with the Harlan mic. My first mic was a Studio Project C1.
Yep.
And I always kind of consider them very comparable. And I
Yep.
think the C1's $50 cheaper or something, but they're very comparable.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they do have some attenuator switches on the Studio Project one,
Right.
high pass filter, etc.
Yep.
But that was it. I just wanted to know because, people ask me questions and it's always good to go know what you guys think because things are changing so fast. I just want to know what you guys thought.
Yeah, there's always new mics on the horizon. There's
Right.
those Aston brand microphones that are really unusual looking.
There's
I've
and
had
there's some
people
higher
send
end
me
mics,
recordings
too.
with them, and I don't know. The one or two that I've heard, the noise floor was really high.
Really?
And I don't know if that was the mic defective or if that's just the way that mic is. I'm not really sure, but it was noisy.
Yeah.
So not even
Can
a
I
bad,
ask my next question?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, cool. So interfaces.
Okay.
How about we talk about your too low, what I say low end, 150 or 200 and below, and
Okay.
then the next step up. Give me what you think is right now that are your favorites.
Okay.
All right. Well, they're clearly the Scarlett 2i2 from Focusrite. I mean, they're selling a lot of those. And the new generation is supposed to be very, very good. So they've actually improved on their original, which was excellent.
Yeah.
It's all you really need. Plug it in. It has plenty of gain. I find that if you take it to 3 o'clock, 3:30, that's the sweet spot for most mics. And it gives you plenty of gain, and it's very, very quiet. And Focusrite makes great preamps, so they put a good circuit in it, and it works.
For some reason, they have all these different interfaces in the same kind of price range. They have the Solo,
Right.
which has one mic preamp.
Which is
There's
all you
the
need.
Scarlett 2i2, which has 2 preamps. They have the
2i4.
2i4, which still has 2 preamps, but it has 4 outputs. It's got more bells and whistles you don't really need, but I think the 2i4 has a little more gain.
Okay.
So if you got a weak mic, it might work better with that.
Yeah.
Also in that range, we mentioned a couple of the UR12,
Right.
which is sort of the Scarlett Solo. It's
Right.
one mic preamp. There's
Right.
the UR22, which has 2 preamps. Those are all $150 or less.
Right. I've got my Yamaha's making the AG series, the
And you know what?
03 and the
Yamaha
06.
and Steinberg are one and the same now. Did you
They
know
are?
that? Yeah,
I did
they-
not know that.
One owns the other. I think Yamaha owns Steinberg. So I think they share a lot of the innards.
Right.
So you're probably getting Steinberg preamps in there. And that's an awesome thing for an extra few bells and whistles it has.
Yeah, that gives you some stuff that you might not have with other
Some things you may
interfaces.
not need, but for some of you, you might find the features really cool. Compressors and things like
Right.
that.
And being
And
able
loop
to loop back audio. So you can actually
That's cool.
like if you're doing a podcast or something like that,
Yes.
you can add other elements in
That's
there by
cool.
just pressing a little button.
Yeah. And then in the $200 range, my favorite is the Audient ID4.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of those.
Because
around
they
now.
take the really high-end Audient stuff, like the 22, which is like a $600 unit.
Right.
They strip out all the extra crap.
Take off the wood grain finish and all
Take
that.
off the wood grain. There's no fancy on-screen mixing console to confuse you. It's just a mic preamp and a headphone jack
And a
a
big
couple
dial.
of knobs, and that's it.
Right.
I love that thing. It's one of my absolute favorites. And for $200, it's no compromise quality. If
Yep.
you, for some reason, needed something better than the Scarlett, which you probably don't, you just want to spend more because it makes you feel good, get the ID4. So I hope that helps.
Okay,
Oh, you wanted
good.
something one up from that, did you?
No, well, you normally recommend the Audient 12, don't you? The ID 12? Is it the 12?
The ID4, the ID14,
14,
which
that
is
was-
2 preamps if you need 2 preamps. Most of us don't. And then there's the 22, which doubles in price. Far more complicated, more to go wrong, has this big mixing console interface on screen that will melt your brain. It's just not necessary for most of us. My big step up, really, if you're ready to really spend money and go down the rabbit hole, is the Apollo, the Universal Audio Apollo.
Yeah.
That thing is mind-blowing in its capabilities. It's very complicated. It's one of those things where I recommend it only because I'm able to set it up for people, and then they're not allowed to touch anything. Then it's okay.
Exactly right.
As soon as they get under the hood and start farting around, boy, it goes off the rails quick. But thankfully, you just have a preset session that you can double-click, and everything goes back to where it was.
That's cool.
That's
nice.
So that thing is mind-blowing in its capabilities, but way overkill for most of us.
And it's not cheap.
No, it's $699.
And how much a step up in the actual audio quality are you going for that extra $500?
I think it's imperceptible. From the ID4 to the Apollo, sound quality is no difference.
It's the features that it has.
And the bells and whistles.
Right.
It's a bells and whistles upgrade.
Yeah. That answer your question there, Lawrence?
Yes, and I have one last one. That's
good. Do it, man. Do it up.
Okay, so as you know, I have a very old Mackie 1202 that I run because I run a mic here at my desk. I run a mic in my booth.
Sure.
And I just like to be able to switch back and forth easily. That's why I use a booth. You set up a loop back for me. It's all great.
Yeah.
I have an old Sapphire 6 USB Focusrite that still works perfectly fine after 8 years, amazingly.
Good.
Of course, nothing moves, nothing changes.
Yeah.
So if I was, and not so much about the interface, but more like the board, if I was to upgrade the board, because, I know that the Mackie board there can be some stuff around it. What would be a great step up, do you think? One of the things that you mentioned to me, I think it was the i820 or something, where it had the interface already built into it. But I don't know. I just would love to know. Now it's 2017. Let's 2017. What would be your recommendation at this point, board-wise?
I guess I'd have to ask you, what features do you need? What are you lacking now that you are missing that you want to add? Lower noise, better quality? What is
nothing? I mean, if in fact, if there is a quality issue, I don't know it because, I've gotten used to listening to exactly what it sounds like. But and if you're telling me that there probably wouldn't be a heck of a lot of quality difference given what my rig is, the whole chain that I've got going, then I stay where I am. But as far as features, I'm good with everything I got.
Yeah. Are you I can't remember, Larry, are you plugging your mics directly into the mixer, right? Using the built-in preamp?
The mics go into the board, and then it runs through. Hey, I can send you your schematic you sent me.
Yeah, I did that a while ago. It's a little foggy, but it's in there somewhere.
Like 5 years ago.
But aren't a lot of mixers have USB output on them now? What's a really good one that might be a nice upgrade for him that'll still allow him to do all the stuff he needs to do without having an extra step in there?
It's funny. Mackie hasn't really made a great USB interface mixer yet. That, in my opinion, they're kind of leaving money on the table there. They have one, but it's a lower end model.
Yeah,
they have one with USB, but it's really a step down from the series that you have, the VLZ series.
Yeah.
There's also the Onyx series, which is a step up from the VLZ.
I mean, that has a lot of cool bells and whistles to it.
You mentioned the 820i or the 1220i. They get pretty complicated because they're FireWire interfaces, not USB, and they can run any input into the computer and any output back into the board, providing a lot more functionality than a normal mixer. So that's great for doing multi-track work, but for your needs, again, it's kind of over the top. But they're supposedly built with better parts. They supposedly will last longer, theoretically.
Yeah. Well, there's your 15 minutes, Larry.
Thank you. I so appreciate your answers more than you know.
All right.
I could have just called you, but it's more fun this way.
This is a lot more fun.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot more people benefit when we do it this way.
Absolutely.
So, thanks, man.
All right.
Hey.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Got a couple more hanging in the wings.
Hey,
Let's
I've
see.
got a couple questions, guys.
Go
All
for
right, Jay,
it.
let's grab one, and then we'll go to a break,
Yeah.
and then we'll come back. We like to keep, a cliffhanger.
Right.
Go for it.
Like Sylvester Stallone. Okay, so just a couple of my 2 cents
About what you were talking about with like the preamps and the microphone. I got my info from JMC, and I took his word. NT1 has a slight edge over NT1A. Don't know why, but he said that was the reason. Maybe you could shed some light on that in a future show. But and I want to thank Larry. You helped me out a couple of months ago. The problem was nothing but the actual Focusrite. For some reason, there was some kind of clicking inside of it, and I had to return it and get credit for it.
That's something that's been happening lately with new gear. Because of quality control, new gear doesn't necessarily work right out of the box. I'd say like you have like a 1 in 5 or 1 in 6 chance of getting a dud.
Right.
And that happens a lot. So if something's weird right out of the box, chances are you should return it right away.
Yeah. Or shop on eBay for something
that's been pre-worn in.
Yes. Pre-owned is the Mercedes thing people say.
Well, see, JMC recommended an Avalon, and that might be out of my price range because it's several $1,000s. And he recommended something else in Behringer. What's your advice? What's a good buy for something that's like 200 or 300 range, under 300 for a Behringer?
Okay,
there's a couple of questions in there.
Well, first of all, let's let everybody know what JMC is.
That's J. Michael
J.
Collins.
Michael Collins. Okay. He is a voice coach, and he definitely is being, a lot of folks are working with him these days. He's a pretty smart dude. He's really good. The Avalon stuff is great for those that have already made a couple 100,000 and they just are looking for ways to upgrade to make them feel like their studios are now playing with the others,
the big boys
in their, in their world. But it's absolutely unnecessary, absolutely unnecessary to make that investment. So at $200 to $300, I can't recommend any standalone mic preamps for $200 to $300.
Especially since we were saying
there's no point because the interfaces now, like the ones we all just named, all have stellar sounding preamps in them already. It just adds more complexity, more things to go wrong. Another source for noise.
Yep.
The more gear in the signal chain, the more you have to configure and get it tweaked and dialed in to sound good. There's just more to go wrong. Right. I used to recommend at the low end of things the DBX 286.
Shame on you.
It did its job fairly well, but it's $200 and you're just adding another piece of cheap gear into your signal chain. So why do it?
Right.
Keep it clean and simple and get the best quality you possibly can out of your system. You don't need to make those upgrades. Just to reiterate, there is no standalone preamp I can recommend under $500 or $600.
Right.
You got to get into the grades of like the Grace M101 and stuff like that before that cost becomes in any way noticeable. And even then, you probably won't even notice the difference.
Exactly.
You won't hear it.
Right. Well, that's the thing is there's no piece of equipment there that's going to make you perform better. It's just it's you're really trying to say get the best equipment because the best people have the best equipment. We tend to believe that you don't get great equipment to get work, you work to get great equipment. As George was saying, the guys that are using that are very, very successful. They're making a lot of money and they can afford to do it. Whether it actually improves the quality of their audio, though, I tend to think it's a lot of showmanship.
Some of this becomes what I call Samson's hair. You know the fable of Samson and his hair? People become like attached to this equipment thinking it's part of what makes them successful, and it's really kind of a myth, to be honest. Let's come right back to you, Jay. Do you have another question? Because we'd love to get you after the break. Hopefully he's still there.
Well, I see him, but
we'll try to get him after the break.
I'm still here.
There we go.
I'm here. So yeah. So when you come back, yes.
We'll get you right after this.
All right. So that means it's time for a break, and we'll be right back here on VoiceOver Body Shop.
Are you confused about how to set up and maintain a professional quality to use? You have to have a preamp. You need a soundproof booth. This software is the best. Your audio must be broadcast quality. Consult with someone who knows the truth, someone who's been there, in the trenches, doing voiceover for over 30 years. Someone with unparalleled experience with voiceover studios, who's worked with hundreds of voice actors and designed hundreds of personal studios. He knows how to teach and cares about your success. In one of the harshest environments known to voiceover, your home. Dan Leonard, the Home Studio Master. Separate myth from fact and get a handle on your personal voiceover studio. Contact the Home Studio Master at homevoiceoverstudio.com. Drop off a specimen of your dry audio for a free analysis.
Source Elements, one of our proud sponsors of the show, is announcing a new product. This came out a little while ago, but I wanted to re-announce it tonight for those that have been curious about it. And I will read what is written for me. Source Elements is proud to announce that ISDN is not dead. It will live on, not a bridge. VISDN, or VISDN, lets any customer use their ISDN codec via just an internet connection, full access to the existing ISDN network, and continued access in the future past 2020. I think that's the mythical date that ISDN goes away. I'm not sure. VISDN is more flexible and affordable than most traditional ISDN services. Competitive outbound dialing rates and free in-network calling. That means no usage charges between VISDN customers now and for all time. Tell your friends, get direct ISDN even if the local telco, your local phone company, says it's not available. Travel with ISDN even if you want to, and don't rely on bridging. VISDN provides the lowest latency and with 2 internet connections, the most robust internet-based ISDN access. Backed by Source Elements' excellent tech support, they handle it for you. VISDN is the best of both worlds. So if you want to get information about that, head on over to source-elements.com and they can get you set up with this brand new system that lets you have your own dedicated ISDN lines that go with you wherever you go. It travels with you. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for sponsoring us. We'll be right back with our fan roundtable right after this.
In a world of audio, 2 men knew what they were doing, or at least they have you convinced. They put the BS in VOBS.TV.
Thanks for joining us once again for another episode of VoiceOver Body Shop.
All right. Now, if you're noticing, we have Santa Monica Beach behind us here because we're having a heat wave here in Southern California. It's going to be in the hundreds all week up here in the valley.
That's the place to be down there.
And Santa Monica Beach.
Probably.
And as you can see, there are plenty of people there.
Yes.
There are live camera down on the Santa Monica Pier.
One of these days we'll get a live feed. I know there are beach cams down there. Andrew, work on that.
Yeah. So
well, J.E. Burton is out there somewhere in the warm Burbank area. Are you still there, J.E.?
Ether. Yes, camped out in my car, scrambling for work as always.
Scrambling.
The big break comes through.
Right on. What else did you have to ask us tonight?
All right. Still on preamps, that I had to let that one go and went back to the Fast Track Pro. And who'd have thought it worked? The Fast Track Pro, the granddad of those 4x4 preamps.
Yes, it is.
Have you used it? Have you used that before or come across it before?
The Fast Track Pro? Of course.
The Fast Track Pro. Well, when you connect it, you find that when you try to increase the volume, like the gain input, it cannot be selected. It's always permanently on low. Is there a workaround on that for a desktop?
Oh, it's always permanently on low. Is that
always?
What do you mean by it's always on low? Do you mean in your software? It says it's on. I'm not quite clear on the question.
Right. So when you with most phantom power devices going into a desktop, for a preamp, you can't actually drive up the gain. You'd have to do it in post. Is there a workaround for that? I mean, or is it just permanently you cannot change it when you go into the sound interface, like on your?
It sounds like that he's changed to an oldie but a goodie, but it ain't working as well.
Maybe.
So
I mean,
you have to.
So you're saying you turn the gain knob on the Fast Track Pro. It's probably the furthest to the left knob, and you increase
and
it.
It's still low.
And you increase it, and the volume doesn't change at all. It just is the same gain all the time.
It stays the same. The only thing you can do is if you go into Audacity and then you normalize.
Yeah,
you normalize the background.
Yeah, but you don't want to do that. It might.
I don't want to do that.
Sounds wrong.
He may have the preamp turned off. Is that possible with the Fast Track?
I don't think so. Which Fast Track is it? The Fast Track Pro or the Fast Track Ultra? Which one is it?
It's Fast Track Pro. The dinosaur, the guys. Yeah.
It sounds like something's wrong. Honestly, you should be able to turn the gain dial on the front of the unit. It's physically on the front. It's probably the furthest knob to the left on that thing. You should be able to increase that gain and increase the microphone sensitivity with that knob.
That you can do. But what I'm saying is on the desktop, when you go into the control panel and then you select on the interface, you click on it, you try to turn the gain up, but you can't. Where it says, where it has systems, system and all those things.
I know
the driver part. Yeah, you can never change it. It's always permanently blanked out. It's like shaded out.
There's a reason for that. There's a very good reason for that. They don't want you to control that on the computer. They want you to only adjust the gain from the preamp itself. So they disable that control in your computer. I'm guessing you're on Windows or are you on Mac?
It's Windows.
It's the same on both Mac or Windows. The input gain would be grayed out on that device. You can't control it in Audacity or in the software. It's disabled. That's on purpose. The driver is written that way. So you have to do all of your gain adjustment from the actual device. That is well, not in post. You set the gain correctly up front. You should be able to increase the gain on the Fast Track until you get good levels, and shouldn't have to boost it a lot in post. Not a lot anyway.
Oh, it's bad. It's even if you raise it up, you take it all the way to the max, and even when you listen with the headset knob that you turn up, it's still low.
Well,
so you have to go in and post and actually tweak it so that it's acceptable for the client to hear. Because if they can't hear it, it's a dud.
Yeah, I think it probably would be best to consult with Dan or I and send in some audio so we can take a look at where the issues are, because that thing should get plenty of gain with a good condenser mic, any condenser mic actually. But I will say one last thing is the headphone jack on that unit is really weak. The headphone amp is really weak. So when you record yourself and you're listening, it doesn't sound loud at all. You got to go by the meters.
Doesn't.
No, So that's something to upgrade past. So thanks a lot, Jay. We really appreciate you calling in with your questions tonight.
Well, thank you.
Thanks, man.
Who else we got on there?
We got David Davis.
Dave Davis.
How's it going tonight? Oh, we both unmuted. Let me unmute you. There we go.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, because I can't hear you guys in my headset, so I'm not sure what's going on. And I don't have, I'm on video. Hey.
You're on
You're
camera.
a star.
What did you guys just do?
We control the vertical and the horizontal. Can you hear us enough, though? Can you hear us okay?
Yeah, I hear you guys fine. I only hear me outside of my headphones now.
Oh, okay. I see.
All right. What's your question? What's your what do you want to talk about?
Oh, I don't know. Let's see. Well, this is my first time having video in my booth. Literally started it, about a week ago. Put it in here and I can actually see myself. This is not so bad.
But the more important thing is that we can hear you and you sound fine.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Well, I thank you very much, Dan. I actually sent you a specimen in and you said it sounded good. So
I wouldn't lie to you. I might. But
what kind of space is that you're in? Is that a closet or what kind of space?
This is a custom built by me space. It's 4.5 by 4.5, 2 by 4 construction, sheetrock on both sides, insulation in the walls.
Nice.
What'd you use for insulation?
Inside the walls, before I knew what I was doing, I put the regular old pink stuff in there.
It'll keep you nice and warm or nice and cool, depending on which season you're in.
Exactly. I've got the door open right now. It's a little warm.
Any issues you're facing with your studio? What's going on? How's it going?
Nothing bad going on at the moment.
Good.
I haven't had any commercial work yet. I've done a few audio books. I consider myself a newbie, but a 3-year-old newbie, I guess. I haven't.
That's still new. Mm-hmm.
I'll go with the fact that I haven't thrown myself into it fully.
Mm-hmm.
I really need to, dedicate more time to the business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But
yeah,
it's coming.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I mean, right now the business is really in turmoil because of some of the stuff with voices.com and voice bank. Yep. And one of the things that this is teaching us is that you've got to take control of your marketing. You've got to be the one that's got to reach out and find your own business, because nobody else is going to do it for you. And the ones that are going to try and do it for you are going to do it for much more than what you're actually going to earn. Yep. So it's not really worth it to be, being taken advantage of by one of the pay-to-plays. One in particular. The other ones, they're okay. Good place to find good auditions and find some medium range work. The commercial work is not easy to get. You've got to be an elite person, but you never know. It's always a possibility that you could do it. But you're the one responsible for doing it, and you've got to take the effort to make it happen. So if you're saying I haven't really jumped into it, it might be time to get on your springboard and take a shot at it.
Yeah, I think it's time for me to find myself. I'm going to look into some more coaching, and I guess that's a topic I could bring up being a newbie. It seems like to me in this business that everyone's selling something.
Yeah, that is definitely true.
And it's a matter of finding, who can you trust?
Well, the best way to find who you trust is to listen to, be on the Facebook groups, talk to people you trust.
What are the groups you like, by the way? Naming groups.
Voiceover Pros on Facebook is really good. Of course, our page isn't bad. People can ask questions there.
Yeah, on the page you can, certainly a Voiceover Body Shop page.
Right.
Off the Facebook, vo-bb.com.
Yeah. And there's a lot of great people out there that are going to give you some good advice, especially on marketing. When it comes to home studios, though, as George likes to say,
everybody else sucks.
Yeah, don't crowdsource your home studio. I get people who actually understand it, like him and me.
But it has to be broadcast quality.
Yeah, right. Broadcast quality.
Our favorite quote.
Yeah, really. There's no such thing.
Yeah. No, there's the more you spend in this social realm of communication and LinkedIn and everywhere, you start to figure out who's trusted. And we're not the only guys out here doing this, but we've been at it a really long time, and we've hyper-focused on voiceover studios more than I think anybody else has.
I would think so.
We're not musicians going out and playing in bands. We're not doing we're not hanging our shingles out for 70 different things that we try to do. This is what we do. This is it.
Right.
So, we're kind of crazy to do that, but it's what we love to do.
We're passionate about it. Someone will point out, hey, I was thinking about making this closet a studio. And they say, your face just lit up. Like, what's we can do here? It's what we live and breathe. And there are very specific rules and very specific things that you're trying to achieve with a home studio. And most of the stuff you hear about getting a preamp and sounding this way or this mic makes me sound great has nothing to do with you, because you don't hire you. Right. And it's very important that you learn what it's supposed to sound like, which is what we try to teach you. That, it's supposed to sound like this. This is the amount of modulation you should have, and this is how far you should be from the mic. All of those different things. And we look at the room ambiance. We look at the your mic technique, at your volume levels, those sorts of things. And when we think it sounds right, meaning it sounds right raw, the less that has to be done to it. And that's really, at least my philosophy is to always get your room sounding as good as possible so you don't have to do a whole lot of stuff to it. Because the more you have to do with it, the more you have a chance for screwing it up.
This is true.
All righty. Any other questions there?
Nothing I can think of.
All right. Well, if you do,
I just wanted to share.
Go ahead.
Go
Sorry.
ahead, G.
No, I'll wait until you do that, and I have something to share about what he asked about, what David asked.
Go for it.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
About trust, about knowing who you can trust, and everything that they said, I completely agree with. Dan, he knows everything about. I go to him about the acoustic stuff, and again, thanks, Dan,
My
for
pleasure.
your tips. On the subject of coaching, and I've been doing this pro since 2010. I mean, actually paid, and I'm still learning a whole lot of stuff. But the thing is, the thing that I know about vetting people, and one of those people that I wholly endorse is Mark Cashman. I think 6 or 7 years ago, he was on a spot with Kevin Delaney about a lot of the stuff that George and Dan are talking about tonight. He tells you everything, like how they sound, how you sound is good, just like Dan said. But again, it's the client who's going to be paying you all that money. So a bunch of acting classes, voiceover classes
Definitely.
are definitely helpful. Mark Cashman can get you situated as to what you want, like where your level is, and help you out with the 8 techniques that you would need to master in order to advance to the next level, whichever level you're at.
Yeah, I think he was putting out something like the 101 voiceover tips on one.
He's at 150 now. He's up to 150. He's at 150 today.
He's expanded it. Well,
that's impressive.
Yeah. Well, those are good
and
points,
having a
Jay.
great demo.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. These are all tenets of voice acting success.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, Jay.
Yeah.
We're gonna take another break. You think?
I think we can. I mean, maybe Larry has something to say about that. Larry Hudson, are you in there?
About coaching?
Yeah. You do coaching. What are some of your thoughts on it? Get your camera back on.
No, I don't coach people. I'm not a coach. You'll know I'm a coach when I stop being a voice actor. That's when I'll start coaching.
Yeah.
Honestly, this is my rule of thumb about anything and everything, with the exception of Dan and George, because this is the source. But everything else, if you can't get 3 to 5 personal recommendations on a particular product, person, whatever, then you have to reassess your purchase. I've been lucky in my career, which is I'm a newbie. I've been around 8 years. But I really did it very methodically, and I did a lot of research with every person that I set myself up to coach with, and I talked to people that I trusted that had coached with them or knew or had real experience with them. The problem is everybody's selling a bill of goods. Like, if you go with me, it's gonna all work out and you can make $1,000 a day in your jammies. And we all know that the truth is this business takes a lot of work. It takes probably more work than you've ever done in your whole life if you've had other careers. But the difference is if you love it, then it's not work. And that's the way it is for me. I have a list of people that I sort of recommend to people coach-wise. But, coaches are a funny thing, because coaches are also, do you connect with that person? I had the blessing, and I do mean blessing, of being able to study with David Lyerly for over 2 years. As I say, I have 44 lessons in the can. And I know that as I started to go back and listen to them, because David stopped coaching, I knew that there were probably only 10 lessons that he said to me everything that I needed to know. It was my job to actually make it happen. So for me, I feel like I got coached by the very best, and now it's sort of my job and to really expand that. And there are some great coaches out there, but honestly, this is just my opinion. It doesn't mean anything, but when guys are asking for $200+ per hour, I question the ability of that $200 per hour to be worth your while, because I don't know if anybody can actually get what you need to get to just be a good voice actor for any price like that. It takes time more than it takes intensity. It's more time than intensity. Because what I hear now, I didn't hear a year ago.
Yeah.
A marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you just keep growing, that's what you do.
Right.
But again, my number one thing is recommendation.
Right.
Find somebody that you really respect and go, wow, who did you study with? And maybe that's the person you go. And then you may go to that person and you may not click with that coach. And that does happen. So
I think it's really important when you're working with a coach, that you quickly try to ascertain, is this person a coach because they're not doing a whole lot of voice work? Clearly the business has fallen off a lot in the last couple of years, and some people are doing it. I think there are people who are saying because of who they are, they're coaching. But coaching is about teaching. You've got to understand, you may have a lot of knowledge, but you've got to be able to take that knowledge and take that individual student and teach them the way they need to learn, which is why sometimes coaches don't work for you, because they're just not on the same frequency as you. And sometimes when you meet somebody, it's like going on a date. You're trying to find out, what do you have in common? What are you compatible with? Are they a good teacher? There's a difference between being a well-known celebrity or well-known, voice actor,
or the top physics professor in the field on quantum physics, and then
darn straight
a miserable teacher.
Right. Yeah, I've seen a couple of those in a lot of different subject matters. But
exactly.
Teaching is a skill and an art, and the people that can master that are the people you need to be working with. All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break right now.
And we've got a bunch of questions.
A pile of questions from the audience. So stay tuned. We'll be right back here with our fan roundtable on VoiceOver Body Shop.
Your dynamic voiceover career requires extra resources to keep moving ahead. Now there's one place where you can explore everything the voiceover industry has to offer. That place is voiceoverextra.com. Whether you're just exploring a voiceover career or a seasoned veteran ready to reach that next professional level, stay in touch with market trends, coaching, products, and services while avoiding scams and other pitfalls. VoiceOver Extra has hundreds of articles, free resources, and training that will save you time and help you succeed. Learn from the most respected talents, coaches, and industry insiders when you join the online sessions, bringing you the most current information on topics like audiobooks, auditioning, casting, home studio setup and equipment, marketing, performance techniques, and much more. It's time to hit your one-stop daily resource for voiceover success. Sign up for a free subscription to newsletters and reports and get 14 bonus reports on how to ace the voiceover audition. It's all here at voiceoverextra.com. That's voiceoverextra.com.
Harlan Hogan has been one of our sponsors with VoiceOver Essentials for 6.5 years. We love him. He loves us. There's a reason for that. He's got great stuff. He is a voice actor himself.
Yeah.
He knows what's best for you. He's written a couple of books that are very interesting, very funny as well. On
infotainment.
He's got his engineer Jeff Fisher writes a lot of it, and then he just sort of like says something sarcastic.
Harlan's the color guy.
Yeah, and you can buy that book, by the way, at voiceoveressentials.com, and they've got lots of other books there as well.
Yeah,
lots of books by people who've been on this very show, like Terry Apple and. Who are some of the other books that have been written?
I haven't looked on the website in a while, Dan.
Yeah,
I didn't do my homework.
Hey, Andrew, why don't you go to the website and show us some of the books they've got there? I mean, there's all the stuff that he has, of course, but there's some books. There's the one by what's the name of it? I can't see it quite from here, but.
Yeah,
right.
There's Money Where Your Mouth Is.
Money Where Your Mouth Is, and
Advanced Voiceover Career Strategy.
Yeah, it's all there.
Some of these are even autographed books.
Yeah, which makes them even more valuable. So go over to voiceoveressentials.com, scroll through all the stuff he has, because he can get you just about anything. But the best part is he backs up what he sells.
He
If
does.
you're not satisfied with it, although if it's a bad read, I don't think you can, that's a whole different story. But if you're not satisfied with the great products that he has, you can send it back, and he's really good about it, which makes him number one in my court. So, Harlan Hogan, thanks for joining us here on
And
Voiceover Body Shop.
I think so too.
Well, I think that's Tinky,
Or
actually.
Tinky.
Tinky
agrees.
When you put the two dogs together, they with people around, they tend to compete for attention. But anyway, Harlan, thanks again for sponsoring us. Go over to voiceoveressentials.com. All you got to do is go to the bottom of the page, look for the picture of Harlan Hogan talking into his Portabooth Plus or Portabooth Pro, and it will take you right there. There's the picture right there. Click on that icon, and it'll take you right there. It lets him know that you were talking to us and that we sent you. All right, more coming up in just a minute.
Every Monday, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific.
Voiceover Body Shop. I love when they talk BS about VO.
You're still watching VOBS?
You're watching VOBS.TV. I don't know why. It's crazy what they do here. I think I'm going to go somewhere else and have a cheese sandwich.
All right, continuing with our fan roundtable, some great questions coming in from our audience all across the fruited plain and around God's green earth. But one of our favorite people, Jack Daniel, who joins us every week in our studio running our chat room, has a question. So put the camera on Jack, and he can ask his question.
Well, this is following up. Are my levels good with this fine radio?
You're good.
Shack
We hear
microphone?
you.
Only the best for you,
Only
Jack.
the best for me. I do not get the cast
A
off.
great voice actor never complains
That's
about his
right.
tools.
And yet I just did, so I guess I'm not. So following up on Larry's point about coaching, first of all, I think that, you do get what you pay for, and this is your profession. So if you're not turning some of the money you make back into these great coaches who do charge $150 and sometimes even more than that for an hour, I don't know. Maybe you're doing yourself a disservice. But at the same time, we all have to live in the real world. So one of the things I always look for are workshops, which can deeply mitigate those costs, spread it among other people, but also working with each other. I mean, if you know other people, whether through Skype or Zoom or in person, go to each other's houses and work each other out. I mean, you'll get at least another person's perspective. And if they're honest and they're, working on their craft, you're going to learn stuff, and that's free.
Yeah. And there's a lot of work art groups. In LA, certainly there are a lot. But
there's some virtual ones too.
There are lots of virtual
Online.
ones. And
through Zoom.
Yeah. If you're in a community where there's a lot of other voice actors, maybe you're 5 or 6 of you, always great to get together and have it. We did that when I was back in Buffalo, Peter O'Connell and Leslie Diamond and a bunch of other people. We had a great time. Of course, she was a wonderful hostess, and a nice house. But we got together, we talked, technology, we talked marketing, we talked all those things, and we did workouts with scripts, and we worked with each other, and I think it made everybody better. So that's a really great point, Jack. All right, what
let's
else?
Go to those questions.
Yes,
from the Vox readers. What new mics and editing software are compatible with Samsung/Android cell phones?
Well, Mr. Android.
Well, you know what? That's a hard one. That's a hard one because the problem with Android stuff is it is sometimes hardware specific. Something will work with Samsung,
right?
But maybe it doesn't work with, I don't know, HTC or whatever. Or it doesn't work with the low-end phones, but it works with the high-end phones.
Right.
Basically, if you have any phone that can use what's called a USB on-the-go adapter, then you can use with an Android phone almost any audio interface that will work without drivers. So if you have an interface that can plug into a computer and immediately start to work without installing a driver, it's going to work with pretty much any new Android phone.
Right.
You just have to get the USB on-the-go adapter. It's a little thing that plugs into the charger jack, and on the other end, it has a regular USB jack where you can plug anything in. So they're pretty flexible. They're a lot more open, so to speak, than the iPhone. The iPhones are a lot more selective as to what they'll work with.
Right. But there's stuff made specifically for iPhone.
There is. Because they have to.
Right.
Apple made it that way. They said, if you want to make it a hardware device for us, it has to be designed to work on our device. And I understand why they do that. It makes sure consistent quality. It makes it more reliable that way, better for support, the whole thing.
Right.
I've dabbled with it. I have an LG V20, which is a flagship phone. It's really one of their highest quality phones that they make. And this has a USB-C jack on it. So this is even more more advanced than micro USB or what's on most Lily lower end phones. Lily.
Here, I can hold that closer to the camera over
That is a USB-C jack. Okay. It's a new port that's on the new MacBook Pros. It's on some of the new Apple products. It's on the new Pixel phones. It's on the It's coming along. You're going to see this jack on more stuff. But this jack is much more universally compatible. And I think the new Samsung phones also use this. So if you have an Edge 7 or an 8, it probably has this. And with the right adapter, again, this thing will work like a computer. You can plug a USB hub into this and plug all your stuff into it. A hard drive, a keyboard, and mouse. Yeah, a mouse. You can actually use this with a mouse.
I can't quite see that, going like.
You can then take your Android phone and then using built-in wireless video sending, you can have your Samsung phone projected screen onto your Samsung television and you can use this as a computer, a real honest to goodness computer.
It's more powerful than the computers they had on Apollo 11. So.
They're more powerful than laptops were 5 years ago. Let's put it that way.
Your watch is more powerful.
Yeah. Software-wise, no Twisted Wave on Android, so you don't get Twisted Wave. But there's one made by a company that's been around for years called WavePad.
Yes.
And WavePad is interesting because they have versions of it for everything.
Right.
Windows, Mac, Android.
Very similar to Twisted Wave.
It's very similar. It's missing some of those really cool features we like in Twisted Wave, like batch processing, unless they've added it lately.
We'll have to check and see.
But it's very similar in its functionality and its interface to something like a Twisted Wave. And WavePad, I've monkeyed around with it a bit on the Android just to see if I like it. And it ain't bad. In fact, if you give me a second, I don't want to stall too long on this question because we have a lot more to cover, but I believe I have it on here and I can show you what it actually looks like in the phone context. Let's see here. So this is the WavePad. When you're recording, it has a cute little microphone.
I'll hold it up.
It's a microphone. Yay. And then when you stop recording, hit stop.
And it stops. Well, I probably just turned it off.
Well, you know, the Android phones they're touchy.
Yeah.
When you hit stop, let's go to done.
Okay.
And let's go ahead and open that file. And you get an actual
waveform.
An actual proper waveform view.
Oh, that's totally chroma key
that's keying out because it's green. Because it's green. But it has a proper actual waveform view where you can trim and select things, cut, copy, paste. Yes, there are effects. So you can do normalizing. You can do speed control. It's got something called cleanup. I don't know what that does. Auto gain. I don't know about that. High pass filter. That's helpful.
Yep.
So it does have some pretty powerful features. So I would say give WavePad a shot on the Android.
Yeah.
Moving on.
That was from Don White.
Thanks.
Our buddy Jack DeGaullier has a question, which is really relevant here because he says, my question is for the assembled fans here, and he asks, are the show logs useful to you? Is there anything we could do differently to make them better? Yeah. Well, it's hard to do that because Jack does such a fantastic job with them.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever you watch the show on YouTube, usually the show notes are there and give you the time code of when we say certain things. So it's very, very, we think it's really useful. If anybody in the chat room wants to chime in and tell us that they like the show logs, or if they'd like to get them, what they could suggest to make them better.
Yeah, let us know.
Jack wants to know.
I mean, Jack puts a tremendous amount of effort and time into these things, and we'd really love to make sure that his efforts, don't go unnoticed. If there are things that people aren't taking advantage of, we don't want him spending his time to do it.
Right.
But to have that record is really nice. Right now, they only exist in the Google Docs world.
Right.
Right? It doesn't mean you have to have a Google Docs account. Anybody can access them. And they are somewhat searchable. But if there are people out there using them and find them, if there's ways we could make them better or easier to browse or easier to find, let us know, because that's going to make them more useful.
Okay.
So just comment on the Facebook page or send us an
Let us
email.
know.
We'll pass it on to Jack. Send an email to the guys at VOBS.TV and let us know what you guys think, because we really appreciate what he does.
Yeah. Here's a question from Maxine Dunn.
Hey, Maxine.
Yeah. Please ask George and Dan, that's us, are we going to have a show about SoundForge? Lots of us that use the program and never talk about it. Get a SoundForge Pro to interview. One of the most difficult problems that I have come across as far as voiceover talent. Well, that's because she's a PC.
Looks like the last line of her question got cut off. It says, questions if it got cut off.
Right.
SoundForge. The reason we don't talk about it is because we haven't had someone who's a SoundForge guru on to talk about it.
Right.
Neither of us are SoundForge gurus by any stretch
or
of the imagination.
aficionados.
I can make it work, but I'm not great on it.
I tried it once. They made a Mac version.
They
It
did.
really sucked.
It did not work well. And the other thing, it looked completely different from the Windows version.
Right.
So if you knew the Mac one, it didn't mean you knew the Windows version.
Exactly
So that
right.
wasn't too useful. Anthony Mendez, if you happen to be tuning in tonight, Anthony Mendez, where are you?
He's in California.
He lives out here now.
We got to get him on the show.
We need to
again.
get him on to share some SoundForge tips, because
Great guy.
he is a SoundForge master, Jedi master. And I think Liz Dinesnera is also a SoundForge master. So maybe we do a SoundForge, because SoundForge has been woefully ignored on VOBS for so long. Maybe we can do a SoundForge roundtable.
That would
and we can all learn something together.
We can just sit and watch.
I know, that would be
different.
Fun. Yeah.
Steve Gonzalez asks, is there a USB mixer that allows playback and recording without having to hit that USB direct button? Let's play Stump the George.
Is there a USB mixer that allows playback and recording without having to hit that USB direction button? Stephen, if you tell me what product you're using, I'd be a lot better at answering that question.
Yeah,
because
it's USB is both ways.
The way I set up these mixers, there's no button pressing required to do that. So let us know which product you're referring to, and Jack will throw it in the notes there. We'll go back to it.
All right, Tracy Reynolds' question.
There's actually one we skipped from Don about marketing. I keep hearing that Twitter is a great way to market, but I think it's like fishing in the ocean for one specific fish with a Fisher-Price fishing pole. Did we mention this one earlier?
No, we didn't.
Oh, we read it before the show.
Yeah.
Any help on that subject would be great. Yes, wouldn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
Again, not experts in that area right here.
You know, Twitter as a marketing thing, a lot of people use it. I know our friend Purple in New Jersey.
Purple?
Purple. You know, she has purple hair. Now I can't remember her name. It's been a while since I talked to her. She's a big aficionado of
Trish the Dish.
Trish the Dish.
Yes,
that's it.
Trish Bassiani. Yeah.
Yes,
I totally butchered her name just now. I guarantee it. But anyway, Trish.
But, she really believes in Twitter. But that's just one person. I don't get what you kids are up to with this Twitter thing.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, even the president seems to like it a whole lot. But as a marketing tool, I mean, if you have a big list of followers, yeah, if you want to keep your name out there, that's one way to do it. But marketing is not one thing. Marketing is a pile of different things.
Yeah.
It's talking directly, doing direct marketing. It's being in a place where you can get a lot of auditions, trying to get an agent, maybe a non-exclusive one who's going to throw you a lot of auditions and stuff, so you get lots of good practice. And once in a while, you might actually be able to pick one up and, maybe do a national flight spot. It doesn't happen a whole lot. But the real smart people, the people that are really succeeding in this business, are the ones that are on the phone and doing the emailing and picking up the phone. Here's a trick that I learned.
Yeah.
It's when you call a company, ask the question, even if you're like meeting somebody in public, ask, who's the guy? Who's the guy?
The guy.
The guy that does the educational videos in your company. Who's the guy that produces this? Who's the guy I need to talk to? Here's my card, or give me your card. Who's the guy? Or who's, or the gal. Yes. Yeah, I absolutely. Because there might be a very, very good chance it's probably a woman doing it. And but it's a generic term. So I meant no offense. Who's the person that does that type of that stuff for your company, and I think that's a good way to go. So try that one. All right,
absolutely. We will definitely do a social media roundtable show because we haven't done one in quite a long time.
Yeah,
so it's something that we'll put into our queue. Catherine's listening.
Yeah,
and I'll also
social media.
Send her an email as well about this. We got so many ideas for roundtables: marketing, social media, SoundForge.
Yep,
we've got lots of ideas in the queue.
All right.
What else is coming up? We've got one from Tracy Reynolds.
This is an interesting one. The room I'm setting up for a studio is 11 feet by 11 feet. Wow, that's pretty big. Currently, my desk is in the middle, so the mic is aimed at a wall about 3 feet away. Would it be better if the desk was against a wall with the mic aimed at the wall about 7 feet away? I'm thinking it's better for the mic to be closer to the wall. Now, you're the one that likes, you set up these big rooms.
Yeah.
People who like to have big studios.
Uh-huh.
Where's the place to place the mic in something like that?
Well, I mean, the only reason to put the mic in close to a wall is because you're trying to be economize the amount of space you're using.
Right. Which is the problem with an 11 by 11
right.
foot room.
If you have a big room and the desk is literally kind of in the middle, take advantage of that fact. It's better to have the mic far away from any one wall. You don't want the mic close to any one wall because that creates what's called early reflections and comb filtering and stuff. Yeah. It's more colored sounding. The only reason we get close to walls is because we have to. We're in really small spaces,
really
closets,
tiny closets,
booths, or we just take a corner of a room and make a booth out of the corner. That's the only reason to get close to a wall. But no, stay away from the walls. Stay away from the walls. There's nothing good that comes from having a mic near anything reflective at all in your room. So yeah, keep it in the middle and stay away from the wall. You're going to have better overall results more than likely.
And one last question for Maxine here.
Yeah.
For Dan, George, and Larry. So Larry, if you're still listening, and I see you there,
What
do you think of jobs that require 100% deep breathing? I think it sounds creepy. Please talk about total deep breathing, the do's and don'ts. To me, deep breathing is one of those things that, two factors here. One, be in good physical condition so that you can say an entire paragraph without having to take a breath, or at least a long sentence.
Long sentence, yeah.
Take a deep breath between the next one and try and get through the entire sentence without taking a breath. You'll save yourself a lot of editing time, and it makes it easier for you to sound more natural.
Yeah.
So that's the way I look at it. I tend to breathe very deeply, but I try to get myself so I can read an entire line at the entire thing. There are deep breathing programs. She says they sound creepy because sometimes when you take out all the breaths, I know Uncle Roy has talked about this a couple of times with us. It makes you sound artificial.
It almost loses the human element.
Right.
A little bit.
Yeah. I mean, you can one trick is to like highlight the breath and take it down 15 dB. It still sounds like a breath, but it doesn't sound like, you're trying to suck in the entire atmosphere.
How do you deal with it, you guys in the Zoom room?
Larry?
I'll go. So I have a definite opinion about this. And again, I work mainly in e-learning, long form narration, and commercial. Okay. I don't do a lot of promo. I don't do audiobooks. And my rule of thumb is this: if the breathing is part of the performance, then it stays. If it's not part of the performance, it goes, period. But for me, I don't try to find a shortcut by using a debreather program. Every time I bought the VOBS one, and yeah, it's awful. It doesn't work. It's called Become an Editor and learn how to edit your stuff and take your breath out. And I personally don't find it to dehumanize what I sound like at all. And again, that's my rule. If it's part of the performance, if it's animation, if it's audiobook, and it's part of it, then it stays. But other than that, I've never, ever, ever, ever heard a commercial that has breathing in it, except one in 2013. I heard a O'Reilly Auto Parts where the guy was breathing, and that was it. And it bothered the living crap out of me. It's distracting to the message, my opinion.
It's very much genre specific. Very much genre specific. But
doing audiobooks, it's very interesting. It's pretty useful if you're narrating and it calls for a breathing. But I agree completely with Larry. If it doesn't suit the purpose, it doesn't belong.
Yeah, another thing about, at one point I was working on an audiobook demo for somebody, and I was trying to figure out, well, what is the standard in audiobooks? Breaths in the demo or no breaths in the demo? I assumed that all the audiobook demos I was going to hear were going to be full of natural breaths, breathing like you would normally breathe in an audiobook.
Especially if you're doing a character or something who has to breathe.
Exactly. But I listened to audiobook demos from, I won't name names, just some of the guys we know, the tops in the biz. None of them had any breaths in their audiobook demos. They were completely debreathed. I don't know what to say. I mean, just as soon as I think I figured it out, audiobooks, you leave the breaths in, but the demos don't have them. So, it's hard to say. It's hard to say, but it definitely is a trend to remove the breaths as much as possible.
Yeah.
And if
I actually listened to the Attenborough, doing Planet Earth.
Yeah. I love that.
No breath. And he's fabulous. I mean, he's very breathy, but no, there's no breaths. If it's not distracting and it adds to the performance, then it's awesome. But
Absolutely.
if it doesn't and it's distracting, listen, I've bought audiobooks that I've just thrown away because it sounded like I was listening to Darth Vader. It was just awful.
With someone breathing into a fan.
Right. Yeah, it's genre specific, it's production specific, it's ear of the beholder.
Yeah.
It's opinion and it's trend, all these things. But I guess listen to some product that you really like and listen for the breaths and see how often you hear breaths in them. You may not be as much as you think there are.
Absolutely. Which brings us to our last question, which sort of has the same connotation to it.
Okay.
Pilaria Reeb is visiting us here tonight from Miami via Oakland, I guess. You're attending a workshop there. And she asks, why have more than one mic?
Let's get back to the basics.
Yeah,
this is
it's
something
like,
that we
why
all
not?
know, but many people don't.
Yeah, well, it depends. If you've been in the business for a while, you try a lot of mics.
Why do you have more than one mic?
Why do I have more than one mic? Because I started out with an AT 2030 or 3035, which is no longer.
I still have one of those.
I gave it to somebody.
Well, that was nice
because their microphone
they needed
sucked.
a mic.
They did, and I'm like, hey, try
Speaking
this
of
one.
audiobooks, we know a great narrator who uses that as his everyday mic.
Yeah,
the 3035.
Yeah. But then I graduated to a TLM 103, which I love in certain situations. I've gone back to my venerable 416.
Swing that thing into the camera.
Yeah, here's
since it's there.
my 416, which is here in my booth, and the reason is it sounds more natural. The 103 is great if you are way off of it. Some people tend to use the 103 because it's deep.
It has a massive proximity effect.
It does. This one doesn't.
Right.
And I don't use it so much for promo. I use it way back off. It makes me sound like I'm in a room having a conversation, which makes me sound a lot more natural, which is one of the reasons that we see a lot of the studios here in town are using these in their main booth, working with people.
So if you do the same exact placement with the 103, you get that far away, what happens to the sound?
In this room, it's there's no reflection, but you're a little farther away. It sounds more like someone talking to you from a normal distance conversation.
Right. But if you do that with a 103, what happens?
It's a little more, there's a little bit more proximity.
Sounding?
Yeah. I mean, it sounds
will you
great.
hand Pilar the microphone?
Yes. The microphone, not your computer, the microphone.
What? Do you want to talk into something?
Yeah. So I have a Shure.
Oh, turn it on.
Oh, that would be nice. Yeah. Hello. 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me?
Yep.
So I have a Shure SM27, which I've had for about 3-4 years.
Right.
And would there be a reason to get another mic?
Well,
it was a starter mic. That's the thing. It was a starter mic.
Right. Well,
and what am I looking for in another mic?
Well, a 27, of course, is a dynamic mic.
Is it the 27?
No.
Is it black or is it silver?
It's black.
It's black. That's a condenser.
That is
no, it's a condenser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a condenser mic.
It's a condenser. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's actually a great mic. And, we were talking earlier about how some mics might be the only mic you ever need. And if you're saying, if you send me audio or you send George audio, you say, that sounds fine. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
If I'm not reaching for the equalizer to fix it, then it's the right mic. Like if you record something raw and you just say, wow, that sounds great, right as it is, it's the right mic. If you're having to always adjust some of this and a little bit of that, and it's too sibilant or maybe it's too boomy and you're always messing with it, the microphone may not be the right match for you. But then again, the room acoustics also factor into that tremendously as well.
Right.
So when you have a great room, almost every mic sounds good. They all just have different shades of coloration. I call them shades of mauve.
Right.
You can have 20 condenser mics all lined up.
Yeah.
They're all a little different shade of mauve.
Yeah.
In other words, they're not green, blue, orange, purple, yellow. They're all very, very similar with just little differentiations. It's like looking at carpet samples. It's like...
I hate looking at carpet samples.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Yeah. And I think I was confusing with an SM7.
Yeah, the SM7 is the
I
dynamic.
added a 2 in there.
Which is also a big black Shure mic. It's just a different...
it's a dynamic broadcast
That's a dynamic,
mic.
yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
which is, great if you live, where they're doing a lot of construction. But, as a
does reject
voiceover mic,
noise.
yeah, it's great if you're on radio, but other than that, not. But the SM27 is a really fine microphone, so that's not a problem.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to do it, I guess. We're going to take one more break.
Just one more go around from and then we'll say goodbye. Let's just
okay.
Let's just sign off with all of the folks who came on the Zoom room. J.E., thanks for joining us tonight. If you're still there, you have any parting words? You want to plug yourself?
To sound off on what everyone else said, because I just wanted to lend agreement to what Jack said about voiceover classes and having workshops definitely defrays the cost a lot. When you come back, I'd just like to sound off of what I'd heard, including I had a product that someone talked about before, like an adapter that goes to an XLR to an Android to your phone. To your microphone.
Probably an iRig.
But when you come back.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna after we come back from the break, we're gonna sign off. So tell us what that product is. Do you remember the name?
So this thing is it's a Radio Shack microphone adapter. I got it specifically so that if I'm in a car or if I'm someplace and I'm not in a booth, I can use this. I can attach the condenser mic using this microphone adapter, connect the adapter to the Android. And no. Actually, I'm trying to figure out if I need to use one of those on the goes, because it's one of those mini USBs,
right?
That connects connects the XLR to the microphone part, and then takes the regular USB. And I'm trying to figure out if I can use an on the go OTG, but I couldn't find one for a Blue phone, which is what I have. Blue makes it, but apparently what I found doesn't work. And I ultimately want to use that with a Chaotica eyeball so that I can just have that.
There's two things that we don't want them to do.
Yeah.
The eyeball is not. People love it. I'm not impressed with it.
I love the idea of it.
Yeah, but in concept fabulous, but in practice you're taking an expensive mic and shoving it in a pile of foam rubber, and
it changes the sound of the mic.
Yeah, and that's not what you want.
It. If the mic sounded great to start with, it's not going to sound better in that. If it sounded mediocre before, you might get lucky and it might sound better in the Chaotica, but usually it doesn't. The cable you're talking about, I have seen XLR to USB cables.
Yeah,
for like $29. Most of the ones I've seen don't have phantom power though. So if you don't have a mic that takes phantom, they won't.
Right.
They won't work. So.
Yeah. And you're not going to find a Radio Shack anywhere around here anyway.
Yeah, they're hard to find.
All right.
Anybody else?
Larry.
Parting words.
No, man. Thank you so much for answering all my questions tonight. It was awesome.
Thanks for joining us.
All right.
You guys, as always.
And David.
David, any parting shots? All right. We got shrugs.
Oh.
Let me turn your mic on there, and then you can actually talk.
Oh, okay. I got nothing going on, but it's great show, and looking forward to next week.
All right.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
And one more thing. I'm loving all the input and all these great questions, which has allowed me to share something that I know a little bit about. Someone asked a question about marketing, about using
Twitter.
I guess social, yeah. And it's really interesting how even when you're not really looking for something, things just come around when you network. And like I met through I don't know if you know Michael Kinsey from Learning Ally. He's got all these people that do audiobooks for him, and
I
I'm
know
very
Learning
fortunate.
Ally, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, he had found me someone that needed someone with my characterization, so I was able to do that. Just so happens, Jen Henry. I don't know if anyone here knows
we know
Jen
Jen,
Henry.
sure.
Yes, we do.
She's totally awesome. A few months ago said, "Hey, why don't you check out Tag Talent, because they're always having, they have great people, and she loves those people." Well, at the time I didn't apply, but a couple of months later, and then when I moved to LA, I decided to submit to them, and I just basically passed on the word that I knew Jen Henry from a project that I worked with her on, and that person happens to be an agent for Tag, and he wrote back, and I wasn't name dropping. It was just I just heard that this is she's a great she's an awesome person that works with all these great projects, and he replied back. I kid you not. He said, "Wow, great that you know Jen Henry. You're halfway done. You're halfway past the gatekeeper. Let's set up an interview tomorrow."
Absolutely.
So on the phone,
that's the way to do it. Networking is everything. Well, we're out of time for tonight, and it's important that you guys keep studying and keep working. But we're going to take a quick break, and we'll say goodbye right after this.
Here's a question for you. Do you know what your audition to booking ratio is? As in, how many auditions does it take before you book a job? How about your pipeline? Do you know which jobs you've booked? Which ones you've sent to the client for approvals? How about which ones you've invoiced but haven't been paid yet? Do you know how much you booked this month compared to last month or last year at the same time? Yeah, these questions might make your head spin. You might say, I'm a voice actor, an artist. I don't have a head for business, and I don't want to spend a bunch of time trying to figure out how to keep track of auditions, bookings, who hasn't paid me yet, and when was the last time I booked with that guy anyway? That's why we built VoiceOverview.com, a simple way to track, manage, and grow your voiceover business. Because after all, it is a business. Voice Overview was built by voice actors for voice actors. Check it out today and start tracking your voiceover business. VoiceOverview.com, your voice.
Or you're a seasoned pro looking to take it up another notch, the VO Dojo is here to help you take your voiceover career all the way. Now, it's not just a class or another workshop. It's an integrated curriculum that's designed to guide, support, connect, and accelerate you every step of the way, from, to working pro. The fall session is enrolling now. If you're just starting, the next You Should Do Voiceover Intensive is coming up live in LA in September, on September 9th and 10th. If you're already on your way, they're accepting applications for the fall session of their Mystery to Mastery program. It's an intense program for intense people who are ready to have what they are after in the voiceover world. So if you're a working pro, our nth degree weekly work-long pro workouts will refocus, refresh, and revitalize. And the VO Dojo Pro Fight Club will connect you with the top decision makers in the VO biz. So go to www.thevodojo.com and set up a free 15-minute voiceover once-over call today.
Man, there's one show that I can't miss. It's called VOBS. And a lot of people are like, VOBS? What is that? Man, it's BS about VO. And I love VO. How much BS is going to be in this show? There's only one way to find out, baby.
All righty. Well, that was pretty good. Lots of great questions.
Tons of questions.
Some of you people are a little shy to get on camera.
Don't be afraid.
Come on now. It's not a big deal. I mean, you're professionals. You should be able to, it's important that, if you're a voice actor, you still got to be able to do the on-camera stuff.
Well, yeah.
That give you a
especially
whole
here in
other
town.
opportunity.
It does.
All right. Who are our donors this week?
I'm scraping the email box right now.
But you're not scraping the bottom of the barrel here.
No, we've got some great names. A couple of them are new too, actually, to me. Eric Aragoni, not a new name.
No, not a new name, but
never
a great
misses
guy.
a show. Thank you, Tracy H. Reynolds, who's become a regular. I think he's donated on the last, 10 shows now.
Fabulous.
Thank you, Greg Thomas. That's a new one to me. I think maybe a regular. And Diana Birdsall, we know. Thank you, Diana. And Patty Gibbons have donated in the last few days.
If you want to help us out and keep the quality of this show as high as it is, there's a donate button right above us here on our page, and it'll take you right to PayPal, and you can help us out with that.
Mm-hmm.
Next week is Labor Day.
That's right.
And we are seeing as we're laboriously doing this show every week, we're going to take a week off. Have some hot dogs. Well, you won't have a hot dog. You have a nut dog.
Veggie dog.
Yeah.
I like the field roast. Anybody ever had field roast? Perfect.
All right. So no show next week, but cripes, you got 90 episodes that you can find on YouTube. Just watch one of those.
Go back and review.
That's right. Absolutely. Then September 11th, we're hoping to have a voiceover agent alliance roundtable. The people we were talking about earlier, let's get them together and have them talk about the way that the industry is today.
That's something that's being worked on as we speak. Catherine is out there rounding some of those folks up. And I think that could be an awesome roundtable. And future roundtables that are spawned from the conversation from the show tonight, we're definitely going to have one on social media coming up in the fall. And let's do a SoundForge one, because I think it'd be great to get folks like Anthony Mendez, and now that he's in town, and Liz, who's a pro with that, a few of our SoundForge using buddies to share their tips.
All righty. Our opening voiceover was provided by the amazing John Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
We're working on a new intro. It's going to happen. I swear it's going to happen.
You've been saying this for 2 months.
I know. Well, we got to get our drone pilot in here, and
that's the problem. Blame it on the drone
pilot. Yeah, because his fan belt went out.
Yeah, his fan belt went out.
It's the truth.
I'm going to use that one.
Yeah, what are you up to?
Over at georgethetech.com, I posted up some photos recently. Photos that were produced and photographed by Maxine Dunn, who was here last week and helped me out with those. Thank you. If you want to give him a look, just go to georgethetech.com, and at the top right on the page, there's a link that says Studio Gallery 2017. And there's a couple studios I've worked on as of late. There we go. We're going to take a look at some of them right now. Andrew, do you see that button? Yeah, just click on any picture. It'll blow up.
Classy page.
This one is Dave. This one's David Kay's place.
Oh, well, that's a masterpiece.
One I'm very, very proud of, for good reason. It's really an amazing spot. And if you click over to maybe 6 or 7 to the right, and then we get into some other studios. That's me. Oh, there you go. There's a good one.
There's your butt sticking off the bottom of it, David's studio.
That is my usual pose, crawling behind the rack at David's studio. And to the right of that, there's some shots from Tara Strong's place, which is quite a different layout. It's a much
very
smaller
simplistic,
space.
minimalistic.
Yeah, it is. It is the back of her walk-in closet that we've isolated and turned into. That's the reverse of the closet.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of acoustics packed in a very small space, but it does the job. And there's the business end of the studio there with her TLM 103 and a little bit of fan art.
Yes.
When you're Tara Strong, you probably get a lot of fan art. And last but not least, a couple shots from Howard Parker's place, which I was really, really proud to get to work on. And it's quite a showpiece of a studio. Can you imagine having that much glass in your booth?
No.
You'd be amazed that we could get it to sound good
with
that much glass. But it worked out, and there's the inside of the studio.
Very nice.
That's
Very
what's
nice.
going on in my little world. How about yours? Got anything that you've been working on lately?
I'm working with a lot of people who are starting out and trying to set up in their homes.
Yeah.
And I love to go over to people's homes and sniff around.
Yeah.
It's like find the right closet, the right space. I'll be walking one,
Yeah.
and I will find the right space and we'll get you set up in those spaces. And you can find me over at homevoiceoverstudio.com. You know, I don't do the big voiceover palaces that you build, that you've been doing for years. I help people get started. And, you know, so that's something that you can, if you're just getting started and you really want some help getting your studio done right, you can give me a call.
The show logs we mentioned earlier in the show, they're done by Jack DeGolia. You can access them from the links at the top of the page.
Right.
If you don't find them or find them useful or don't find them useful, one way or the other, do let us know. If we can make them better for you, we'd love to know. Jack would certainly love to know. So let us know.
All right.
Podcast version. It's on Stitcher. It's on iTunes. If you want to listen to the show instead of watch it because it's such a long show, especially tonight, that's how to listen to the show. And if you do like watching it live at 6 p.m. Pacific time every Monday.
Right. And if you want to be here live in our studio where Tinky can bark at you, you feel free. There's our live studio audience tonight. Everybody wave and say hi. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Just write to us at the guys at VOBS TV. Tell us when you're going to be in town or if you're in town, and we'll tell you where we are. Because otherwise, it's a secret.
That's right. Thanks so much to our sponsors like Vizzy Video Demos,
Harlan Hogan's VoiceOver Essentials,
VoiceOver Extra,
Source Elements,
VO2GoGo and his rehearsal app,
the VO Dojo, and VoiceOver Review for providing the uninterrupted live stream and bandwidth to make this very show happen.
Yes, we really appreciate it.
And the people at Facebook.
Thanks, Facebook.
Yeah, thanks for doing this for us, Facebook, making things a lot more easier. Okay, well, that's going to do it for us tonight. Thanks for all your questions. Thanks for being out there and supporting our show all of these years. Keep studying, keep working, do the workout groups. All that stuff is the stuff that's going to make you successful in voiceover. The audio stuff we'll take care of.
That's right.
All right. I'm Dan Leonard.
I'm George Whittam.
And this is VoiceOver
Body Shop,
or VOBS. Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thanks,
on September 11th.
Thanks, Andrew. Thanks.
VOBS is still on? Seriously?
You're listening to VOBS.
Yep. Proving anybody can have a show these days.
VoiceOver Body Shop. Learn the latest in voiceover technology.